And welcome inside the Rowdy Studio, sitting with Reid Spencer of the Sporting News. My name is Bass Masters. On the far side, Buzz Cutler. We're talking about a crew chief change. It's an off week, so not a ridiculous time to make a crew chief change, but Juan Pablo Montoya's got a new guy on the pit box.
It is a ridiculous time for Juan Pablo.
Well, let's let Reid tell us what happened first.
Go ahead, Reid.
Well, basically, Brian, Patty, and Juan got a divorce because they have not been getting along lately real well, and the fact that Juan ran out of gas at New Hampshire was sort of the last straw in that relationship. And even though Juan's not under contract yet beyond this year, you can't fire the driver, so the crew chief has to go. And he's been replaced by interim crew chief Jim Pullman, whom probably no one had ever heard of before this week. And you know, we'll see what happens after that in terms of hiring a full-time crew chief.
But Reid, you've got tracks coming up that Juan Pablo actually stands a pretty good chance of winning. Indy, right? He's come close, very close before. Watkins Glen, even Pocono he can be strong at. So to change the crew chief now, it just seems like you're throwing away those opportunities that are coming up on the schedule.
Well, I think he feels that, you know, he can still get the job done at those tracks, and he and Brian just simply were not meshing and weren't communicating very well. You could hear strife on the radio, and that dates back really to last year when you started having some disagreements between them on the racetrack and in the car and on the radio. So, you know, I think Juan still thinks he can get the job done, but you know, my understanding of this situation was that it was Chip's call, and yes, the timing is kind of strange, but you know, we'll see what happens.
Now, what about Juan's the struggles that he's had? He started off the year pretty well. A lot of us think, in some ways, maybe he's his own worst enemy out there. Too many bad finishes for this guy for the second year in a row.
That's absolutely right, and I think having made the chase 2 years ago, he sort of thought going into last year that he was going to be a lock to make the chase. He was going to show the steady improvement that he has throughout his career, and I sensed a bit of impatience in Montoya last year, and I think that carried over to this year too. And it started with the wreck with Jamie McMurray at Las Vegas last year when Jamie lost control of his car and took Juan out. And that got him behind, and they started pressing. And I really think they've been pressing ever since. So, you know, that being the case, you know, I think he basically needs to return to the sort of game plan.
Very conservative.
Right, basically points racing.
Consciously
Let me ask you this. Is Juan Pablo Montoya capable of having a peaceful relationship with a crew chief?
Well, I think so, but Juan is a difficult driver to work with, and you know, there are drivers out there that are demanding. I think Juan, you know, might mesh well with a guy who's currently looking, Pat Tryson, who you know, it has a track record of working with drivers who, you know, require a little bit of TLC.
Kurt Busch.
Right, and someone with a thick skin,
right,
who can take that, doesn't take it personally, and can just kind of keep rolling with it.
So you don't see Jim Pullman getting this job full time. He's interim is to be taken literally.
That's my impression.
Yeah.
I would say interim is going to be his title, and it's not going to become permanent.
Okay. All right, Reid Spencer, thank you very much. His take on the Juan Pablo Montoya crew chief change.
Rowdy.com. Say it like it is.
Say what like it is?
Rowdy.com.